Yo, check it out. I got a new lens on my camera. It looks more professional, in my opinion. And the background is blurred and the front ground is not. And that's called photography. F-stop aperture ISO. Cool. I didn't mean to do that. Just click. Here I am again. Anyway, that's going to be a problem. I got to slouch more. One sec. The funny thing is you can't even really tell a whole lot. Oh. All right, let's have a listen. What have you guys been doing this weekend? First up, we're going to check out Cat Attack over again. Here we go. Might have the wobble. What is the wobble? What's the warble thing? Also, why is my mic? I'm so sorry. I didn't do the thing right. I muted the... Anyway, here we go. Well, I don't know what you mean by warble thing. I don't think I do. I think it was just because it was coming through my microphone instead of... I'm just trying to get this goddamn angle right on the camera, to be honest with you. Okay, we're going to hit play. We're going to listen, and I'm going to maybe make an adjustment to the camera. Like even still? Is it still warbling? Let me listen on my phone. See if I can figure out what you're talking about. It's fine now. Okay, well, keep me in the loop. I'm going to hit play again. I love this. This is really nice. Did it warble at all that entire time? Are we still fighting the warble masters? This sounds really nice. I really like this bittersweet part. Or sorry, this bittersweet part. And I really like the playful whatever this sound is. What is that? What is that? How did you make that sound? It sounds like a prepared piano. It reminds me of the piano from Aphex Twin's Drugs album, kind of. Um, Piano hammers. Interesting. Is this a plugin or did you just find a piano somewhere and record it? Either way, it sounds dope. I have zero concerns, except maybe this bittersweet part, maybe do it twice. And maybe make it a little more obvious, because that bittersweet kind of like note, you know, it's a little subtle, and I want to feel that a bit more. And then when it resolves, it's great. You could you know what you could maybe do? Do this and then play it one more time, but put it up an octave. Obviously, play it an octave, not shift it an octave, but. I think that would be cool for the ending, maybe, to give it like an extra delicate, dainty little finish. I don't know. It's very good, dude. I wonder, are you ever gonna like put any of this stuff out as like an album of excellent music? I feel like you should put out an album of excellent music, and that could be the title. Cat Attack's album of excellent music. I think it's a good idea. It's dope. Cool. I got 3 albums in the works. Wow. Why don't you leave some for the rest of us? All right, moving on. Cinnamon Dioxide, Solitude in a Fabricated Existence. That's a title. So this is really cool so far. I think what could maybe make it even better is if you had like a bass playing some sort of note. So it's an F. That's in C. Okay, so I don't know what notes to play, but I think that's what I'm kind of missing is at some point, if the track was swelling up and there was like a low bass sound that was playing notes that could almost reharmonize the notes that are happening. I'd like the little motif to change a bit at some point. Yeah. And is it straight up the Minecraft notes? I feel like it's maybe. Okay, okay, so I think cool notes might be A sharp. So I'll play it in an audible octave. A sharp, F, or something like that. That could be a cool bass line to play. Let's keep listening to the rest of it. It also sounds like it could have one of those melancholy notes that was in Cat Attack's song at some point. It sounds like it's almost asking for it. I'm trying to figure out what note it would be. I think also something that I like this. I think that you're making good strides. I want to say that first of all. But another thing I want to say is I like this one the best out of anything you've sent. And I think what it's missing the most is maybe some subtle nuance in terms of like atmosphere, layers, some sound, you know, like it sounds very much like there's like three synths just kind of playing when you could have kind of like some I don't know, atmosphere, world building or something. I don't even know what that really means, but let's keep going. And I think that would probably help with like the repetitiveness as well. You know, if you had some nice ear candy atmospheric stuff happening and evolving over time, then you could kind of tear out switch up always. You could have that distinguished like it gives our brain something to move with as the motif just kind of like sits there and does the same thing over and over again, right? But it's really cool. I think you're doing a great job. Oh, a tool that you might like is Paul Stretch. Look up Paul Stretch. Because like that's if I was doing this, I'd probably go into my Paul Stretch folder where I've Paul stretched things and stored them in my Paul Stretch folder. What did I say this was? C? So I go to Paul Stretch, I find something. That doesn't sound like C. Or was it F? Oh, actually, this kind of sounds cool. Anyway, you get the idea. I think that drone, that the Paul Stretch drone underneath, like all of a sudden adds like all of a sudden that's much more interesting because it's like the dung ding dong is existing in a world, and the world that you've created is the atmosphere. It kind of reminds me a little of this. So I have like the very simple motif thing that's playing, but there's like atmosphere. Anyway, I'm beating off a dead horse. Let's move on. Well done. Keep it coming. Let's listen to Crazy Jump by Multifox remix of Crazy Jump by Joyful Bites. Never heard of it. Let's make sure that my mastering isn't totally dead. Killing. Okay, before we get to the draw, I just want to say that the chords, all 4 chords were proper. That was really good. Good job. It sounds like something that you would competitively Christmas shop to. Like the world champion Christmas shoppers. Whoever wins gold, this is the music that they come out on stage to get their gold award. I don't really know that I have any useful feedback. It honestly sounds good. I don't really know what came from the original. I'm not familiar with the original song. But there was absolutely 0 wrong notes, and that's great. The mix and master was pretty good. I think you did a good job. I'd be interested to hear the original to see how far it is different, you know, like I don't know if the original is just straight up a chip tune or something, but I think you did a good job. Well done. Sorry, I don't have any useful information except some light praise. All right, let's check out Bren and Sawyer. Yeah, that was sick, dude. This is really good. For the drum and bass. B-R-E-N. I don't dislike the snare, but I feel like the snare could be a bit brighter or something. Like the snare kind of the snap of it, the transient sounds quite bright. But the like the rest of the body of the snare, clap snare, just kind of sounds a little, maybe a little dull, or it just kind of sounds like a burst of noise. We fixed the snare based on what you said the last time. Oh, I mean, like I said, I don't dislike it. I think it could just be a little brighter. And then I just wonder, I know. What if the kick just had like a little bit more of a transient slash punch where we could, easily discern where the start is? That's my main gripe with this style of music. And I know that it's like a style choice, but like you could tell I was grooving the whole time, but then when that kick happens, it's just like, I don't really, like, I know mathematically where the quarter notes are, but like, I know I say it every time. That's why I kind of prefaced it with I know, because I know, but I'm gonna say it every time. You can count on it because it's how I feel. And that's what I tell people is how I feel. I think it's a great track, even with my gripe about the kick drum. The rest of the track is really, I hate to use the word cute, but it is like the melody. It's very oddly wholesome considering how like aggressive some of the parts are and stuff. But yeah, it's really good. It's a fun track. You guys are firing on all cylinders so far today. So good job. And now you can go to sleep because it's probably like 5 a.m. there. All right, let's move on. There's a lot of A's and X's. Atrix Axolotl remade yet again for like the 6th time or something. Whip. Okay, this is cool. I need to. I took me a second, but check this out. Listen to the melody. Wait, isn't it? How do you spell boogeyman? Is it B-O-G-I-E? Boogeyman. I'm your boogeyman. The guitar, da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Yeah, but I don't know. To me, that's what it reminded me of. I was like, what the fuck? I know it's like, 0356530 on the guitar. Like I get it, but still. So let's keep going. I'm forming some ideas. I really liked this part. Yeah, so I agree with Maple Leaf. I think the biggest issue here, there's two things. The drop doesn't feel necessarily like a drop. It feels like the B section of a drop. So it's kind of missing like I think what you did right. That sounds more like the drop section, but you just did it for like a little like fun spot. And then it went away. This, where it continues like the chord progression. It continues the melody. There's a lot of elements that are just kind of doing similar things to what they were doing leading up to the drop. So I didn't really feel like the drop happened. I kind of feel a little blue balls. So I feel like, thank you for the update, Aiden. Like maybe if it drops and it sticks on the tonic and it does some, but it's a little more simplified. So you pull some of the stuff out and it's more just about like the it's like it's like a bass drop, as opposed to just kind of the track just kind of seems to play around with the same elements in different ways, as opposed to being strategic with what you're using and where you're using it. So I would try to maybe. I think a lot of the stuff that you have here is good, but I think that the way that you're presenting it arrangement-wise is not really working that great. Yeah, verbatim, you can throw a track in. So I would try to build up, and I would just for shits and giggles, maybe save it as a new project. Use that thing, but like stick on the tonic, just like the root note, and try to base a drop section around that. And don't worry so much about getting the melody across. You can have little bits of melodies at like the end of measures and stuff like that to still tie it in, but try to make like a heavy drop so we feel like we got somewhere. Because when we get here, first of all, I mean, it's just a really long build. And then, yeah, the drop just doesn't quite hit hard enough. But that one little section goes pretty hard for like 3 seconds. So I would try basing it around that. My next thing is the drums feel very scooped. Like we have like a very, very strong transient. And then there's not really much else to the body of it. So we have like this very prominent transient click. And then there's not a whole lot of like body to the kick or snare. So it makes it feel kind of hollow or something. So I don't know exactly how I would maybe sample choices. I think you definitely got enough transient going on. I think it's more of the like that sort of sound that you're missing. It almost sounds like you're using the same snare as here in the drop. I don't think you are, but it kind of sounds the same where you have like this very loud transient. And I can kind of hear like but it's not very loud compared to everything else. So I think that mid-range is kind of lacking. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing I would go for is try to base a drop around instead of just a little fun section, because I think that's probably like, that's like the most like rock out section, and it only lasts for 3 seconds. So, okay, cool. That's what I think. Let's move on, and I'm going to grab the 2 tracks that just came in. So this one's Zetmo Amenizo Techniques. I don't know how to say Amenizo. Okay, wait, before we drop, why am I the way that I am? That reminds me of, I think,
I'm the computer man, and I am ready for questions now, thank you.
Mr. Computer Man, how much is 2 + 2?
am I crazy? I see patterns. Okay, so this is cool. I have a couple thoughts. Not that it necessarily matters, but I feel like it's not like this drop is not in the same key as the build up. But more so the snare, the clap / snare is kind of loud in that harsh frequency range. Like it's a bit like, whoa, it's a bit much. Like even me just grabbing this high mid range and like reducing the threshold on this multi-band compressor in the master bus, to me makes it sound much better. I mean, it's cool. I really like the weird wonky phrase, right? Like, I love that shit. It's really good. Yeah, my biggest thing is, like I said, that high frequency, this like from 2 to 6 kilohertz. To me, when I listen to it and I reduce those frequencies, my ears just are like thanking. They're like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. They keep thanking me over. It's hard to even listen to the song because of how much they're thanking me. So yeah, I'd be careful with that frequency range because when you're like, you want everybody to blast it at 11 out of 10 volume, you should make it so that that one frequency range isn't causing bodily harm. Cool. Sounds good. Let's move on. Yeah, you can submit one. No problem. Okay, we got Wailed. Can you hear me now? So this is I like this a lot. This is very cool. I think the sidechain is throwing me off. Like it's too quick or something. Because I'm expecting I'm expecting like eighth note pump, and it's almost like the sidechain is like is coming back up too quick or something. Because it almost at first sounds a bit like there isn't sidechain, but there is sidechain. I think it's just very quick sidechain. So let's assume that it's 128 beats per minute. And that's incorrect. It's 126. Okay. So if I just go like this for a sec. I go like this. Let's just see what it sounds like, even though I know that I'm going to be sidechaining your kick and snare and everything too, but 2x2. Like, that's kind of more what I'm expecting the sidechain to sound like, if that makes sense. Because it's not like that, it almost sounds like it's going da 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 da, like almost like the opposite of sidechain, if that makes sense. I was gonna say it a bunch to get it out of my system, if that makes sense. Whatever. I tried to fit the sidechain to the kick. Yeah, I mean, like, I get that. And maybe you sidechain the sub like that so that the sub... I don't know. I would experiment with it. You don't have to go as extreme. But, like, because it's kind of like a classic electro track, I think the sidechaining should also kind of be classic electro. Let's just see. We'll just... I think that's what I'm missing in the track. And then you could experiment, like, how deep does the sidechain go? How scoopy doopy is it, you know? Because, like, sidechaining has two main purposes, right? It has the technical purpose so that we can cram as much stuff out of the master bus as possible. But it also has kind of the creative artistic purpose of giving it that, like, pumpy Benny Benassi feel. And I think that's what it's missing. So I would at least experiment with your sidechaining. I think that's basically what it needs. And obviously having vocals is definitely going to be, is going to make, you know, the track much better. Also, I wonder that I wonder if you kept it as is, but you added a synth that was maybe a bit brighter for the drops or for certain parts and not other parts. I feel like that's a really cool sound, and I feel like it's maybe underused almost. Wow, how did I just immediately know? I don't have perfect pitch, but I guess it was a good guess. Why? Why is it phasing? Am I playing more than one thing at a time? I don't understand why that's doing that. But anyway, let's just give me one sec while I remember how to use software. Must have been something in the patch. Anyway, let's do this. We'll go noise. ARP white. I've had an idea now since I posted this feedback. I'll just try to show counter melody. Yeah, you could, or harmony too. You know, it's really strong, and I think it's under, what's the word I'm looking for? Utilized. FM from You dirty dog, it's just the White Keys. The White Keys. What a great band name. All right, let's see what happens if I... Oh, that's low. Give me one moment while I remember how to use FL Studio. It's a great melody. I mean, I think that's what it is. And also, I think that you're not, you could be doing a bit more call and response with the melody. I'm gonna try that. You know what I mean? Like we got a call by going up to this, and then we this, and then there's also a slight variation, just so that there's a bit more intrigue. There's a little bit more to it, more depth. So now let's try your side chaining. Let's just see what this sounds like. And we do this. And we do this. And then we do that. And then we, sure, let's link the channel volume to that. And then put the kick back in. I'm not saying this is the right synth sound. It's just kind of like a barely acceptable thing for me to experiment with. The direction of the sound design on that synth is, I think, is the way to go, though. Like the noise modulated sawtooth. Anyway, you get my idea. I hope that those ideas help. I'm not going to try to make this work because it's difficult when I just have the master to work with. But yeah, I hope that helps. Let us move on. Who's that Mo Whale? Okay, remix. Here we go. Just for Fun. Great title.
Jam-packed. Simply ask you as mayor what you intend. Coming down.
You want to blow it, baby?
Wait, is this?
And the scrum.
Symptom and abnormal vision. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours.
Cafe in Amman. The morning regulars.
Did you know Eagletown is one of automobile magazines? Local officials say there is widespread damage after the 6.4 magnitude quake struck early this morning.
It's a good quake.
What do we know right now? We're getting some word of injuries.
Dude, we should put this out. It's great. It's honestly really good. I think like it would be funny to put it next to the original because I feel like yours is far girthier. There's a sentence. Man, it's been so long. Here we go. I feel like I'm going to say yours is girthier. And for a track called Girthquake, that's kind of disappointing on my end. We should just put this out. We should just get Rayham to make album art and put it out. Anyway, I don't have any feedback because it's dope. I also used it in a video that I'm editing. I was going to reach out to you to make sure you're okay with it before we finish the video. But where can I find that video? If I go... I think it's a Subaru one. Where YouTube Studio, maybe? Content, here we go. Subaru. I think I used it in this video. Maybe stop.
Is anybody able to hold the light? Oh, it's not even one-time use.
No. If you want to be pedantic. I can't remember.
In this.
I appreciate that. That's not normal in this situation.
You're ripping them open. You know how long it takes to organize that stuff? Thank you.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I used it in this video, but thank you for giving me permission. And yeah, we should put it out. Yes, I'm reviewing productions. Okay, cool. Great as always. Sounds dope. Moving on. Pony Boy. Stay Golden. Here we go. Let's listen. So, I think it's dope so far, but the vocals to me are like too loud or compressed or too much 3 to 5K hertz. There's something about the vocals that when he's singing, it's kind of like taking over the whole space. Like it's like the track is smooth and deep and like almost like if you chew on an eraser and when your teeth finally like they clunk, you know, like that. What's that? What is that called? What's that sensation? It's like it has a certain amount of resistance and then you push past the resistance and it yields. And that chewing on an eraser, that like that. I haven't chewed on an eraser in many years. I do want to put that out there. But I do remember that there's a specific sensation that when you finally push past the resistance of the strength, the material strength of that polymer, whatever it is, oh, it's juicy or something. Yeah, I don't know. But whatever it is, Like I could sink my teeth into this, you know, I guess. But when the vocals come in, all of a sudden we're getting a lot of like and I feel like you have like that, there's like an LFO kind of effect on the vocal where it's like and I don't know, I feel like having a more natural, I don't know what your abilities are with the vocal because it's a remix, so I'm not sure if maybe like the maybe you're limited to what's in the track. But I feel like the vocals are just over processed. Like I would probably listen to Cola by Camel Fat for a reference in terms of like vocal processing. Kind of less is more, I think, in this stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's his vocals are natural, and I don't know that they need to be super duper fancy wancy effecty in this style of music. I think having them sit in the mix properly is probably the priority, and then if you want to get a little fancy here or there, like maybe at the end of a measure, there's like a cool delay thing, or maybe you can use some of these effects like just in a more subtle way. I think that's probably my feedback so far. But it sounded good. The production sounds good. Just the vocals just aren't sitting quite And I'm also wondering about that hi-hat. I like the fact that there's some percussive thing that is carrying the pace throughout this section. I'm not sure if the hi-hat is the way to go. What's up, your local snare drum? You're a huge fa? No way. Me too. Like maybe the hi-hat comes back in here. But then again, I don't know if I'm maybe not liking the hat because you've got like the high frequency of the vocal cutting in and out at like a 30-second note rate. And it's just a bit like busy in that frequency range, and then the hi-hat is adding to it. So I'm not sure. The hi-hat might be all right if the vocal wasn't being so busy, but the two of them together, there's just like too much in that frequency range for my brain, my feeble brain to handle. Let's keep going. This is FL Studio. Yeah, so I think overall the production is good. It's mostly just the vocals they just sound kind of processed to death. I can't really understand much of what he or she is saying. So I would maybe just go back to the drawing board with the vocal processing. The track is good enough that you don't need like super massive amounts of effects on the vocals. I would rather just have like I didn't mind like the cutting up and the glitchy thing you were doing in the drop section. I think that's cool. But just in terms of like all of the fanciness with the vocal processing, I don't think it's necessary. And I think it's actually just kind of getting in the way. Vocals and is why they sound so strange. Yeah, that'll mess with like formants and mess with like S sounds and stuff like that. Like S's turn into SHs. So how did you drop, like, you might have, if you have Melodyne, you might have a better chance of shifting the pitch with Melodyne as opposed to like just taking the clip and dropping it. I would also maybe, I mean, why are you dropping it 3 semitones? I know, what are we in? Are we in like D or D sharp or something? What key are we in? Oh, okay, because we're in F. So it was in A before. Okay, yeah, I get it. I understand. You could maybe go to F sharp and drop it 2 semitones and maybe try using like Melodyne or using a different method to pitch shift the vocals that sounds a little bit more natural. Yeah, you could do F sharp, and then that's 1 less semitone you have to go, so you're gonna get 1 less semitones worth of fuckery along with it. But at least you're aware that, you know, when you shift vocal pitch around, it's gonna mess with that high mid to high frequency range. So you kind of have to manage that somehow. And yeah, I don't know. That's, to me, the track's dope. The vocals just need to be processed differently. Okay, cool. Let's check out Deep Sea Dive. I think at this point, it's getting a little, like, I think you might have overextended how much you can use this section, or like because like I know you changed some stuff, but like it didn't really change that much. It just got kind of embellished a little differently, right? So instead of like changing the plate of food that's in front of me, you've now added some oregano on top. So it's like, it's not really different. And like there's a lot of atmospheric stuff that's changing too, but I don't think that the main course has changed. It's like the garnishing has changed, right? And at this point, that's when I started to feel, up until this point, I was along for the ride, but then it started doing the same thing again. I was like, oh, this thing again. Canadian oregano. Literally anything to try to add feels like too much. Well then, I mean, does this section need to exist? Maybe this section just doesn't need to exist, you know? Maybe that, because I mean, you've got what? You've got this much drop. I don't know. Maybe just cut it out. You got to ask yourself, is it adding value to the track? is this section adding any sort of value to the track? And if it isn't, then why is it there? You know, that's kind of like the audit that I would do. Now, the next thing is the drums. I'm having a hard time forming a thought about the drums. They feel, I think it was Coder that said they sound too loud. They're almost like, yeah, that's a you problem. The drums sound too loud, but also too quiet. And I think it's because they're too punchy. I think they're too short. You know, they're very, very short, but they're also very, very loud. So I think that's kind of what I'm having a hard time with. But I'm struggling to wrap my mind around it because I don't dislike the sound of the drums. I like tiny little tight little drum samples, you know, like I like that. I'm wondering if it's because it's in combination with the atmospheric Donkey Kong underwater level stuff that's going on. I'm wondering if maybe the combination of those two, tight drums and atmospheric reverbed out ethereal background sound, maybe that's what's messing with me. I wonder if it was more like the bass and the drums, almost like the drum and bass. If it was just those two elements, would it bother me, or would it then everything's tight? It's tight. I don't know. I'm struggling to give you good feedback on that, but there's something about the drums that's kind of not tickling my fancy. It might also just be that the track is, hold on. I feel like, I wonder if it has to do with the mastering, because the track, it's a bit oxymoronic, whatever the right word of that is, because the drums are too loud, but they're also too quiet. The overall sound of the track is like right up to 0 dB, but it also doesn't sound that loud. And I'm wondering if it's because of how sharp these each of these transients are, which are, I believe that the bass also has quite a bit of transient. Like every... Yeah, so this is just a bass note right here, and it still goes right to 0. I don't know. I'm kind of struggling to put my finger on it, but if I just like straight up, let me just do like a real quick, dirty, like back alleyway master job. Okay, so let's now listen to this, and we'll go back and forth between the because I think maybe it just is like not. There's too much dynamics in each individual note. You know, like yeah. Oh, what have I done? Or is that you? I'm so confused. Why have I... It's not on solo anymore. Oh, the channel link was on. Ugh, I hate that. Go away. There we go. Sorry, not you. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot less issue with it when I kind of squanch it together a bit harder. And if I were you and I had access to each individual track, then I would go and I'd try to maybe, without losing the without losing the transient, try to just like reduce these spikes a bit, however you want to do that. And that way you can get more aggressive in the master. But I think it just doesn't feel like that glued together. And when I kind of squanch it through all this stuff, it seems to solve a lot of my problems. I also wonder if you could add like a layer on the bass that had a bit more like airiness to it, because this one is very pure sine wave, additive M1 organ sounding, and I wonder if there was a bit more like top end or something that would maybe balance it out a bit more too. I also like the melody that you're doing, the dun in the background, but it's so reverbed out, like the long sustained like string kind of sounding notes, but it's so reverbed out that it doesn't feel like a melody. It kind of just feels like background noise. Let's play here. Like it sounds like you're playing, if I go back to... Yeah, that's what the melody sounds like it should be. I don't know if it's doing that or not. Yeah, I think it should be D sharp, D, A sharp, C. Is that, I don't know if that's actually what's happening or not, but to me, that's what it sounds like it should. So maybe if you could have like that melody come through a little more clearer and less like in the universe, like in the fog. It's a bit, the melody is a bit foggy, I would say. Okay, there's a bunch of collection of random thoughts that I had regarding your track, but it's a cool track. I like it. Thank you. Coder B5, 150 beat per minute synthwave. Wow. Oh, I should turn off all that mastering, shouldn't I? I'm very proud of myself. Normally I would forget all about that and listen to 7 songs and wonder why they all sound too compressed. Okay, and then we do this. Go away, go away, go away. Okay, let's have a listen. DX7 electric piano patch? I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think your snare should have more reverb, you know? Like, not that. Snares, 80, snares and... Maybe? You said it's 150. Doom, 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 doom. I don't feel like it's like hitting a snare drum at the top of a mountain enough. Oh god. Let's try this one, and I'm just gonna get rid of like the front of it. Why can't I? Sorry, one sec. But it almost needs like more long reverb on top of that. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm thinking. What I would maybe do is find a snare. Like, I like the sound of the drums you have here. So maybe instead of trying to reverb out the snare, what's up, amps? Instead of reverbing out the snare that's there more, because I think you have reverb on it now, maybe you find a different snare sound that would be more conducive to that, like the big reverb sound, you know? Keep this snare as is and add a layer to bring that like reverbness to it. Kind of like what I was just doing. Oh. I really like the drum fill. I don't know if I go double time yet. Also, I think your bass should go dun 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 dun. It's kind of sticking at that first note too long. I think it should go down with the other. The same way that it walks up, it should walk down because it goes to that note between. There's basically three notes. You go da na 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 na. Except you're not hitting that middle note on the way down, and it feels kind of off to me. I think that you should. Yeah, I'd maybe like reverse these parts. Have this part first. I liked when you went up there, and maybe keep that as a special little treat that you give every once in a while. But I think the standard one that you should do every time is still go da na 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 na. I don't know. I feel like those are the right. And this vocal thing is super cool. I think you should use it more. Use it in the other parts. I don't think you should just leave it to the end. And the last thing I'll say is it kind of feels like it, to me, it sounds like a track that would be playing in like an 80s Miami Vice type movie. And I think it's missing some of those elements, maybe like a guitar, like something that Al Pacino would be playing in back in the late 80s or something like that. And it's missing kind of like that guitar or something. Stranger Things is a good reference too. But like that vocal thing is super cool. And what I was going to say until I heard that is that it's kind of missing melody. You know, like it has a lot of hints at things, but it doesn't have like a thing, a lead instrument. It just has like a bass chuggins, you know? I'll call AI, no worries. Anyway, it's very cool though. It makes me feel like I'm driving in a, I don't know, let me think. Ford Taurus. It makes me feel like I'm driving in a early 90s Ford Taurus as a detective, and I'm trying to solve a crime. And also, I'm trying to get my lover back. Okay, let's move on. Thank you for sending. Let's check out Verbatim. I don't know, maybe Yeah, Well, Whip. So you can kind of see a problem emerging over here. How do I pause this? I can't. Oh, I could. Okay, hold on. Okay, so look at the spectrogram for a second. This is your kind of low pass bass sound down here, right? Bloop, 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 bloop. Then we have like this super bright transient on the kick, bright transient on the snare, and like the tail of the snare. But look at how much empty space there is here. And it's not necessarily that the visual of something should drive your decisions. You know, it's not like I looked at this and said, oh, there's a problem. It's that I heard a problem first, and then I looked visually to see if I could use some of this to help me understand what I was hearing. And to me, I think you have such bright transients and snare sounds, and you have such low pass bass happening at the same time that it just feels odd because we have this like frequency range. I'm going to go to the blue pen now, if that's okay with everybody. We've got this like frequency range here that just kind of doesn't have a whole lot of anything in it. So now we're hearing very low passed stuff and very almost high passed sounding in comparison to the bass. And we just have this like question mark area, especially when the kick hit. This part is cool. I think, I don't know if I'd low pass a snare. I also think that the intro is kind of like really long for what it's delivering. It's delivering cyberpunk bass line and then cyberpunk kick and snare, but like, I'm not intrigued. When it got here, now, sure, there's maybe some mixing issues with the vocal and stuff, but like now I'm interested. I'm interested in the song, but I don't think I should have to wait a full minute to become interested in the song. You know what I mean? So arrangement wise, like the technical issue with like the low pass and the bright drums and stuff, that's kind of something to keep in mind. But I think the bigger problem here is that there's not really a lot catching my attention. Like, what do we, like, if you just like look at this kind of on a objective scientific level, what value are we bringing? Deep bass. Sure, there's some like crinkly like vinyl, but we're 10 seconds into the track and all we've really got was like a single bass note being played a few times. And I'm not trying to shit on the track or anything. I'm just trying to, from an objective point of view, this is kind of how I would take an audit or take inventory of the track, you know, analyze the track. We're 10 seconds in. Well, first of all, we're 2 seconds in and we have silence. And I know that, you know, maybe when you're done, you'll clip it to here. But really, you know, we're 10 seconds and we don't really have anything of value. We have the key of the song and the tempo of the song, but nothing really to catch our attention. Now, for the next 50 seconds, I mean, you can even look over at the spectrum, like there's not a whole lot happening. We got like bass, we got a bass line, and also the tempo of the song being fairly slow is not doing it any favors either. Because now, not only do we not have a lot of like, we listen to that bass line once or twice and okay, we got it. We understand the bass is going down, da 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 da. But now we just have to listen to that for 50 seconds. Things are like very slowly opening up, but there's not a whole lot of valuable stuff happening in terms of like the listener, the audience. Why would the audience care? Unless they just really love cyberpunk bass lines, then maybe they're like, hell yeah, I love this bass line. And I'm not saying that in a sarcastic way. I'm like, maybe there are people that would listen to this and be like, I love this bass line. But I think the large majority of people would skip or skip forward. I don't think they're listening to this whole intro section unless it's just like on passively while they're doing something else, right? In fact, if you listen to it on your phone, you're probably not hearing a whole lot, you know? Like let's check it on the mix checker. Let's go to cell phone. Like that's kind of what we're hearing on the cell phone, right? Anyway, I think you get my drift. There's not enough value happening. I have no idea, Aiden. I bought it years ago. I also think that your drums are too quiet, just generally speaking. And you can kind of see it visually here. You know, this is like your kick drum, basically all by itself. And then this is like the rest of the song is that loud. You can kind of tell. So what I would probably do is send your kick and snare into a single bus and then maybe like distort it a little bit or at least compress it. Do something to like get it crunchier, more like, you know, rock on, as opposed to just... It's especially noticeable on your snare because your snare isn't really cutting through the mix very well. It's kind of just existing in amongst all of the other distorted, almost like white noisy kind of. See, like this is a good example. You've taken the bass line and now you've added like a pause, and it's more interesting because now it's not just like Like it that adding a pause here, it gives it there's more intrigue, there's more substance to the bass line, which I like that. I like what you've done. But again, in this section, like low pass sections, they have their uses for sure, but like extended amounts of low pass sections, I don't understand what's trying to be achieved. Like why? I guess why. And if you can answer why, then that's great. But I wonder if you can answer why. Why did you low pass for so long? So much of this track, like there's probably 2 minutes of this track where the majority of the track is low passed. And I don't know. I mean, you're removing information. Now we just have like the bass line and a thump, and like there's not that much stuff there. Again, I'm not trying to shit on the track. I think the track has lots of cool elements. I like the vocal thing. I like the bass line. I think that I don't think there's enough value here to stretch out to almost 3 minutes, you know? Like you have some good ideas here, but the way that they're laid out, it drags on too much. And the extended low pass sections, they're not doing that any favor. Where you have almost a minute of just bass line, that again is not doing any favor. I think you have some cool ideas here, but I think that's basically what you have. In terms of a track, there needs to be more development, there needs to be more elements, there needs to be more story, more moments, you know? So I know it says it's a whip, and maybe it's just the start of an idea, and it's a good idea, honestly. I hope that I didn't come across as too harsh when I talked about it, but that's honestly how I feel. I feel like there's like some cool moments. That's a cool moment. I think that the vocals are louder than the drop. Like the volume of the track seems to fall when it hits the drop, so I think that needs to be addressed. But this, when it builds up the vocal cut and it and then back into the drop, like that's a cool moment and that's sick. And like the bass sounds cool and stuff, but I just don't think there's quite enough here to justify an entire song. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps you in some obscure way. And if not, I'll give you your money back. Thank you for sending. Let's check out Aiden Dodge, last track of the day. Melancholy. What about the last? Oh shit, did I skip something? Hold on. I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's a cool switch up, but still, we just kind of we're getting no. Like it's still a lot of the same stuff. But I do like the switch up though. I think the sub is overbearingly loud. But I do like the halftime switch up. It is a cool idea. I just think it's just too much of the same stuff. You skip me having a panic attack at the end of my song once. That sounds like I'm okay with that. Yeah. I think it's a cool idea. I just think that you're relying too much on like the one note and the octave and the -2 semitone. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I think. Okay, let's check out Aiden Dodge Melancholy. Melancholy. Melancholy.
It's like a never-ending autumn. Don't know why everything is so damn solemn, but I'm ready to be dragged to the bottom. Hide myself from the world and be forgotten. Now there's this melancholy deep inside me, and I'm waiting for nostalgia to find me. Try to find the light, but it might blind me. The dark will always be there to remind me. This melancholy in me's growing deeper. And every single second I get weaker. So many nights I spent completely sleepless. And all this time I've tried to stay fatigueless.
So I like this. I think that the vocals are overprocessed. I don't understand why they're so wide and like chorusy. I think, generally speaking, I think with vocals you want to use the least amount of effects as you can to get the desired effect. I think this would just sound, because everything else is wide. And I know that the vocals are in the center, but there's so much on the side channels. It's a choice based off the genre. Yeah, I don't care about the genre. I care about the song, you know? And it's, to me, the effect on the vocal sounds distracting. Like, I'm like, it almost sounds like the vocals are like, not opaque visually, like they're like translucent, like I can see through them, you know, like they don't sound like they're taking they don't sound like they're taking up any authority in the mix. They sound like they're like a passenger in the mix. And I think, like, I like the vocals, they sound good. I think that they should be like solid. They should have a good foundation. But when they're like chorused out to the sides and chorusy like that, to me it undermines the importance of them or something, and it makes them sound like they're washed out into the rest of the mix as opposed to being like a beacon in the center. I don't know why I'm using so many fancy words, but basically, yeah, I get it, and maybe some of that effect would be good. But I think they just sound kind of blown out because of the amount of chorus that's on them, whether it's cosmic reverb or whatever, you know, like basically it's chorus. It's if it's cosmic reverb, it's probably reverb with chorus on it, you know, like whatever it is, it's making the vocals just sound like they're like a ghost. They're like see-through. Let's go.
Like a tree that's slowly losing all of its leaves. I'm slowly dying before I get the chance to breathe. And I'm hoping to find some sort of relief. I just wanna find my inner peace. Just stay positive is all I have ever been told. But how can I do that with all these thoughts I was told? Find out how to link myself back to my soul.
There's some sections where the vocals are a bit wordy. Like there's too many words, and you're kind of having to like shoehorn them in. So
just wanna find out how to link myself back to my soul. Myself back to my soul.
Like if I was writing the song, I don't know which is correct. Which is funny because I'm talking about writing lyrics. Anyway, if I was writing the song, I would probably try to figure out a better phrase to use that's not like like trying to like and because I think that it loses kind of like, it sounds challenging to sing, and I don't think that that's typically what you want. You don't want it to sound like you had a hard time singing it. You want it to sound like you had an easy time singing it. It's your song. You should sound like you could do it in your sleep. Yeah. But right now it kind of sounds like some of those lines are a bit struggly, and that kind of loses its confidence when it sounds struggly. So I'm not saying that you can't fit that many syllables in, but with the current performance, there's a few lines. Yeah, it just didn't sound like you had time to fit the syllables in. So I would probably change the phrasing so that you don't have to try to fit things in so hard. They just fall into place. This part is very cluttered. A few parts, I think it's because you have like that super detuned like arpeggiator thing. The do-do-do-do-do-do, that thing. I don't know if it works in this section. I feel like there's just too much. There's just too much in the chorus, I think, here. And it's a bit clustery. It's a bit clusterfucky. So I'd maybe see what it sounds like if you just like maybe like lose the do do dee do do dee do do dee do that thing during the chorus, because it's so detuned and it takes up so much room in the mix, and then you also have a bunch of other elements that have a lot of reverb on most of the things. They sound very reverby, so there's a lot of like washiness happening, and it becomes a bit of a mess. In fact, let's see what happens if I get rid of the like if you try to ignore the vocals and you just listen to music, it's almost like I can't really quite tell what notes are being played because there's so much detuning and reverb and your vocal effect, which I think is cool. I don't know if it works in this section. The delayed, distorted, low pass thing. I think it's cool in some of the earlier sections, but you kind of have to pick your battles, and it's like, well, it's a cool effect, but it's kind of fucking up the mix a bit because there's so much happening in that frequency range. Maybe it's not worth having in the chorus section, or if it's really worth having, what can I take out to make room for it? I think there's just too much stuff on top of each other. I don't think a panning thing is going to change anything I just said, to be honest.
So many nights I spent completely sleepless.
But there's like this frequency range. Like it's kind of a mess, right? Like if I just listen to this like 300 hertz, it's hard to determine what notes are happening. It's just kind of like a bunch of mess. So I'd go through, I would at least, like, I understand what you're going for with that vocal effect, and there are ways of achieving that vocal effect, but I think the vocal effect should be added to a nice solid vocal as opposed to the vocal going through the effect, if that makes sense. Like we always have the solid vocal cutting through, and then you add stuff to that. You embellish that as opposed to sending the vocals through the effect to the listener. And then I would go through and probably try to like delete elements, especially in the chorus, because your vocals don't cut through. Like it just kind of sounds like a bunch of reverb mess. It's good. I like the track. The stuff is good, but there's just the way that it's mixed is too messy, I think. I think you got to like simplify it down, dry out some of the reverb stuff, and just try to get closer, make it sound like we're closer to the elements. Right now, it kind of sounds like all those elements are like playing in the gym, and we're like in the gym with it, and it's just kind of a bit of a mess. And don't get me wrong, I like the track a lot. It's a very good track. It's on its way to becoming something good. I just think that, yeah, a lot of plugins were shut off for some reason. Yeah, it sounds like a you problem, dude. I would turn them back on, or maybe leave them off. Who knows? But at any rate, it's a cool track. Clean it up. I think everything I just said could be boiled down to clean it up. All right, that's it. Let's go back to my fancy lens. Look at the bokeh. Look at how blurred out my background is. Isn't that professional? Isn't that so? Besides the absolute disaster my studio is. Look, I almost look visually like I know what I'm talking about, and that's debatable. So thank you, lens. It's a Sigma. So crisp. I know it's definitely not crisp or new. So the lens is doing some heavy lifting, we'll say, but it is a Sigma. It's on that Sigma grind set or whatever. Anyway, okay. I love you. I hope you have a good weekend, and I will see you next week. And yes, it was sarcasm. Okay. Bye.